Well, we're here continuing with our Tuesday Q&A, hosted by Chinmoyde Prabhu. Does anyone have any topics, any suggestions for our meeting today? Everyone's in the holiday spirit, coming in a little slower for meetings. Chinmoy Prabhu, you want to bring up a topic?
Yeah, maybe a nice topic. Because we're also often taught about that we need sincerity in our life. We need for our practicing life, we need to be sincere. But what does that actually mean? Like practically, what does that look like? Sincerity.
What does sincerity practically mean?
I mean, like how do we know that we're being sincere? How can we feel that sincerity?
That
How
is
do we know?
That is a tricky point, actually, because the nature of this truth, it is something that can only be known in our own heart, really. Srila Sridhar Maharaj mentions, like, sincerity can recognize sincerity, and sincere persons can recognize other sincere persons. I mean, the thing is, there may be some, it is also natural that there will be some self-doubt. Actually, if one is sincere, they will have some measure of doubt whether they are sincere, right? And there's always that healthy mood of self-questioning, right? There's openness to being wrong. Right? I would say sincerity practically is that we keep ourselves open to being guided to what is the right way, right? According to our best conscience and sincerity, and with guidance, if possible, right, from higher agents, then we are proceeding. But we are not doing so in a rigid, arrogant way, right? We are open to being corrected, right? We are leaving space in our lives for Krishna to interfere. We're leaving space for the Lord, Guru, and Vaishnava to interfere, right, with our plans. Srila Sridhar Maharaj, he mentioned that once, and he met with some of the members of the ISKCON GBC. Welcome, Gangalila.
Happy New Year, thank you.
Happy New Year. When some of the members of the GBC were meeting with Srila Sridhar Maharaj, they mentioned they were having some annual meetings that were planned in Mayapur, like Gaur Purnima time, everyone's coming together, and they were going to plan their agenda for the following year. And Srila Sridhar Maharaj mentioned, yeah, you can do so, but leave some room for Krishna's plan, right, along those lines, right? We have our own estimation, our own idea, our own plan, but we have to remember, that there may be a higher plan. So we have to account for that too. That there may be something else that's planned. Dandavat Krishna Mohini. So I feel that living and moving with this openness for correction, right? And not Scarlet, not, because what is the opposite? Sometimes looking at the opposite of that can also help us, right? Like if we're proceeding in a particular way and some Vaishnava comes and gives their suggestion, then what is our response to that? Is it an ego response? Like, oh, who are they to tell me, right? Or do we sit sincerely, do some healthy introspection, look within ourselves? Oh, these Vaishnavas are questioning me or doubting me or giving me this advice of an alternative course of action. How am I responding? Am I just responding from ego and defending my position? Or am I sincerely sitting with myself and asking myself and praying to Guru, Mahaprabhu, Is this the way to proceed, right? And then at the conclusion of that sincere introspection, deciding whether to continue with one's original direction or taking on board the advice of others, right? I think that is a practical way in which we can practice sincerity, having this earnestness to receive truth, right? Having an earnestness to like, please let me be corrected. If I'm doing wrong, please correct me, right? And this is one reason why staying in good association, maintaining exposure, maintaining the radiation treatment, right, is so important, because it's like we're making it easier for Krishna to approach us, right? We're going on with our program, but we're hearing every day, we're continuing with our seva every day. And in the course of that, there are so many exchanges, so many incidents that are coming up. And there are so many opportunities through which Krishna can correct us, right? It's like if we go and live in a cave, then it will be very easy to say, oh yes, I'm very sincere and I'm very humble and I'm very tolerant. But when we're living like an active practicing life of service and shravan and kirtan, then we're leaving ourselves open for correction and to see where our faults are, right? So there's room for self-correction and correction from others, right? And then and also we can, again, like going back to that point of like we can see what is our response when the environment in one way or another opposes our way of doing something. What is our response? Are we angry? Is our ego flaring up? Or are we humbly taking on board this adjustment or alternative point of view, right? And then we may say, oh dear, I still got quite a bit of false ego there. I wasn't aware of that. Oh dear, I wasn't expecting that I would have responded like that, So I feel living in this type of mood. Because another thing is that we can just take it for granted that, we're all coming with some mixed motivation, right? And it's actually pretty much impossible for us to make a pure offering of seva in our current stage, right? But we're going through the treatment, right? We're going through the therapy, and we are exposing ourselves to these higher agents, and through contact with them, our service is becoming purified, right? It's like there's this beautiful verse here in Prapana Jivanamrita, where Srila Sridhar Maharaj is in his extreme humility, he's doubting his own sincerity and saying, and I'm writing this book with hypocrisy, with the desire for the prestige of a poet. He mentions that. And he says, but the devotees are very merciful, and they will accept this, and my offering will be purified. Let me find that verse. It's like kind of painful actually to read that verse. It's at the end of chapter 1. Is it the end or the beginning? Chapter 1. Where is it? Near the beginning. And he quotes this verse from Bhagavatam. He quotes a verse from, where is it? That Tadvad Visarga. Here it is. Oh, it's right at the beginning. Let's see. Here it is. This is the verse I'm thinking of. This is Srila Sridhar Maharaj's own verse. Anta kavi yashashkamam sadhuta varanam bahi shudyantu sadava sarve dushchikityam imam janam. O saintly devotees, please purify this wrongdoer, who on the pretext of saintliness desires in his heart the prestige of a poet. and who is thus afflicted with the practically incurable disease of insincerity. That's what he says here. Extreme humility. So he's saying, right, like, I'm approaching with this offering of this book, and I know that my motives are impure. Of course, that's not true. Let's get that straight. But that's his humble feeling, that my motivation is impure, but you are all so pure that you can purify me. Right? And this is the idea, right? We're all approaching with some mixed motivation, mixed conception, mixed level of sincerity, right? But in contact, with the pure devotees, in the life of service to the pure devotees, we're leaving ourselves open for purification. Right? So we're approaching in this naked kind of spirit, right? I may be insincere to whatever extent, but I'm depending on you that you will make me sincere, that you will purify me. And I would say that that type of spirit is sincere. Sincere. Leaving ourselves open to be corrected, I would say. And not to be too rigid in our own understanding and in our own approach. And we also feel some safety, right? That we're depending on our guru, right? We're depending on the higher Vaishnavas that, oh, Gurudev, you accepted me and I'm your responsibility, actually. If you see I'm going in the wrong way, you have to correct me. I'm depending on you. And it is also normal and natural that we will make mistakes, right? But what do? We get up and we try again. We get up and try again. There are we may have at our core a degree of sincerity, but laying over that, there are superficial layers that pull us in different directions. And those things may also need to be purged out, right? There may be a point where we feel exhausted because we realize it's all futile. Nothing other than this. There's this wonderful quote I was sharing earlier. It's Srila Sridhar Maharaj. My mother posted it on her Facebook the other day. Let me see if I can find it. It was an article that was posted on Prema Dharma. Let me see. Very wonderful quote. But just describing like this kind of point of exhaustion that will come to, realizing everything's worthless in this world. So we may need to get certain things out of our system. And we come back. Gurudev mentioned like a dog on a chain, on some leash, right? If you heard Gurudev say that. And the dog may go off here and there a little bit, but can't go too far, right? And they come back. So we're very fortunate if we've made that type of heart connection with our guru or some higher Vaishnava. And ultimately, that's going to bring us back, right? Our insincerity, our layers of insincerity may have to play out, right? But eventually, we know where home is. Here's this quote. Srila Sridhar Maharaj is speaking about the nirguna plane, right? The eternal, transcendental plane beyond the modes of nature. And saying that is a very, very wonderful explanation. Maybe I'll just quickly, it's not that long, I'll just read it. Development, this is Srila Sridhar Maharaj, development in the misconceived area is no development at all. And I do see there are a few messages in the chat. I'll have a look at that in just a minute. Development in the misconceived area is no development at all. But even a little improvement towards the nirguna reality is of infinite value. It will never be destroyed and never leave you. And then Srila Sridhar Maharaj is quoting these verses from Gita, Pichat Charo, and Sarvadharma Prityaja, making this point. These advices make us have faith that consideration of the Lord cannot be compared with anything good or bad in the worldly sense. And then this is a very nice verse from Charitamrita. Dvaite Bhajra Bhajra Gyan Sab Manodharma E Balo E Manda E Sab Brahma. In the mundane world, all notions of good and bad are mental speculation. This is good, this is bad. All such thinking is misunderstanding. A good dream and a bad dream are both false. Do you follow? Neither the good nor the bad found in this illusory world have any value. Salvation from the glamour and charm of this world can come only from that which is nirguna, that is, from the Vaishnavas and the scriptures, Bhagavatam, Gita, and so on. Salvation springs from the nirguna world. We must be all attentive towards that. Only that which is nirguna can help us, can snatch away our souls from the bondage of mundanity. The nirguna agents will come and snatch away the soul from the bondage of misconception. No saguna, mundane agent, can do that. He is a captive himself. Help must come from the nirguna plane. Despite having many possessions and great power here in this world, I am most insignificant because worldly things have no value. Such a feeling of grief and emptiness within the heart, such realization that everything in this world is futile, makes one fit for the nirguna plane. Very powerful line. Such a feeling of grief and emptiness within the heart, such realization that everything in this world is futile, makes one fit for the nirguna plane. One's possessions in this world are like things possessed within a dream. They have no value. When an earnest person prays for help from the nirguna world, from the world of cent% truth, then help from that world comes to them. Nothing from the saguna world is qualified to help them. Deception cannot free one from deception. A black marketeer may exchange goods with another black marketeer. A thief may exchange goods with another thief, but none of them are the owners of the goods. Hare Krishna, Lord. And another thing that's coming to mind, see, this is the tricky thing, right? Because clarity is clarity of one's real position is the outcome of grace. So to actually have some clear vision of our condition and whether we are proceeding on the right path or not, we need some grace for that. That is a tricky point, right? And I would say, this is why it's very important that we proceed very carefully, that we don't skip over any steps. We don't skip over anything. And we're very attentive, and particularly in our dealings with the Vaishnavas. It's very important. Because this is the thing, like if we have some critical mentality towards a Vaishnava, it will result in this clouding of our consciousness. It's a very tricky thing, right? We'll lose our clarity. So this is why we want to proceed very carefully in all of our dealings with particularly in our dealings with the Vaishnavas. And that will invite grace, and that grace will give us clarity, right? So this mood of Trinada Pisunichena, right? Humility, tolerance, respect, it's actually very crucial. It's very crucial. That will help to invite grace upon us from the Lord, from the Vaishnavas, from Guru. And that grace brings about clarity. Because that's the thing, like if we don't have clarity, then we may think we're doing just fine, but it's like a cloud has been put over us. We cannot see carefully. So carefully, we are trying to go forward carefully continue with our sadhana, carefully serve the Vaishnavas, and moving in prayer for correction, prayer for revelation, right? Prayer for direction. And if we are very fortunate, then we may have some senior Vaishnava who we can ask directly, right? How am I doing? How am I doing? Please tell me, please correct me, put me on track. And we are very fortunate we have that. But it's not always possible. Those are my thoughts.
Can you tell me where you got that the writing from Srila Sridhar Maharaj that you were reciting?
It's this I can share the link. It's this article. It's published on Prema Dharma. Only truth dispels ignorance. I'll share the link in our chat. 1 second here.
Because what he says there seems to me can be related to sincerity. Once you know these things, feel these things, then you have that sincerity to go to the nirvana plane.
Okay, I've got there's our chat here. But yes, it is a tricky thing. And I've heard Srila Sridhar Maharaj give different answers. Like one time, I recall someone asked, "How can we be sincere?" And Srila Sridhar Maharaj just said, "Be sincere," like that. And another time, he gave this interesting answer. He said, like someone's asking, "What is sincerity?" And he gave this. He quoted this line, "Gorar sharal hoibe gora shiksha bujibe," like keep your heart simple, and you will understand, Mahaprabhu's teachings. And then Srila Sridhar Maharaj, he gave this interesting explanation, saying that sincerity was appreciation for the inner aspect of Krishna consciousness, of Mahaprabhu's teachings, the inner aspect, like not being fixed so much on the form, but looking to the substance, looking to the, the inner, more subtle layer of things. He gave that. I think we published that as an article as well. We have a few other, let's see, we had a few other things in our chat here. Any advice for times when you have done that sincere reflection and the others assume that you have not because does not agree with what they want? Yeah, that actually was crossing my mind as we were having this discussion. That is a difficult thing, and it can be a painful thing, right? And the answer is simply that we have to tolerate, right? That it is sad. I mean, I experience it too. If I've experienced persons criticizing, attacking, and I'm thinking, why are they assuming that I have not contemplated, this in a serious way? Or why are they assuming that I have bad motives? Why are they assuming that? Why are they assuming that why are they not thinking it's possible that I've sincerely reflected upon this, right? It is very painful, actually. But, one thing I remember in this regard is, and I like something Janardhan Maharaj, he mentioned once, and he was speaking on this point, and he said, we should not doubt the sincerity of any of our God family. I like that very much. We should not doubt the sincerity of our God brothers and God sisters. We should believe that they are sincere, even if they're doing some wrong, right? We will believe that they are sincere. And that is actually the devotional vision. That is divine vision, right? Like another interesting thing Janardhan Maharaj told me is that he said one time after Gurudev gave initiation, Janardhan Maharaj asked Srila Gurudev, we're telling these new disciples they must follow the regulative principles and they must chant so many rounds every day, but how can we be sure they're actually going to do that? And Gurudev said, we must believe them. We just have to believe them. Right? That's the faithful plane. We just believe. We don't want to doubt their sincerity, right? And even if they're not following now, we will have faith that in the future they will. Right? That is how we want to move ourselves. But in regards to others doubting our sincerity, I remember sometimes this one incident. It's described in Chaitanya Charitamrita with Gadadhar Pandit. And there's this incident with Vallabha Acharya when he's kind of an interesting, complex character, Vallabha Acharya, and sometimes he's portrayed in a more positive light, sometimes not so positive light. But there's this one occasion he's in Puri, and he's kind of in this mood of wanting to show off his scholarship. And he approaches Mahaprabhu on different occasions, oh, I've written so many explanations of the name of Krishna, right? And Mahaprabhu, oh, I only know 2 names for Krishna, right? He is Shama Sundar and he is Jashoda Nandan. I don't need to know anything else. And another time he says, oh, I've made corrections on the commentary of Sridhar Swami, right? And Mahaprabhu, because the word Swami can also mean husband. And Mahaprabhu responds a little crudely, oh, a woman who does not follow her Swami is a prostitute. Like, who are you to think you can cross over Sridhar Swami? He's, our great renowned Bhagavatam commentator. So Mahaprabhu won't give him the time of day because he's coming from this place of ego. And Vallabha Acharya is trying to regain his prestige and he goes to different Vaishnavas, but because Mahaprabhu wouldn't hear him, no one will hear him. Then he goes to Gadadhar Pandit, and Gadadhar Pandit, he has a very gentle, submissive, humble nature. Gurudev joked and said, everyone would take advantage of him, right? And someone asked Gurudev, what do you mean by taking advantage? And Gurudev said, like I am Govinda Maharaj's disciple. You must do what I say. He said something like that, And so Gadadhar Pandit, he had this very submissive nature. He couldn't say no to people, to anyone. And he's seen Vallabhacharyas, he's a respectable Brahmin, and so he couldn't say no, and he sat and listened to these explanations, just tolerating it. But it's interesting, it mentions in Chaitanya Charitamrita that in his heart he was thinking that, all of the devotees, they will criticize me for listening. But Mahaprabhu, he is the Supreme Lord, and he will understand, right? He knows what my motivation is. And I think of that sometimes. I find that comforting, right? The general group may not understand, but I know in my heart, right? I prayed, I'm in connection with my guru in my heart. Lord can see my heart. They can see why I have done this. They will understand, right? And sometimes that may just be a test for our ego, right? That we may do something that others don't understand and they may criticize us for. But are we here to win a popularity contest? No, right? So we may humbly, and there may be some complicated reasons why we can't explain what we did too, right? It may involve criticizing other people if we explain why. There could be all kinds of complicated situations that come about, right? So sometimes the best we can do is just bite our lip and, we take the flack, right? Sometimes we have to do that in our service life, right? We'll be the bad guy, right? Gurudev had that mood. He said, when you're going to the battlefield, you don't put your guru in front. And, And Gurudev would operate like that. Trivikram Maharaj told me of this one occasion, I think of sometimes, that I won't say who, but there was some sannyasi who actually was not so favorable, to our Gurudev and our mission. And he wanted to go to Srila Sridhar Maharaj's veranda. And our Gurudev in Navadip, he liked to see everything. And so he would sit where from his window, he could see a lot of what was happening in the mat. And so he could see from a distance, this sannyasi was coming in. And Gurudev knew, it would be a disturbance for him to go up to Srila Sridhar Maharaj's veranda. Not that Srila Sridhar Maharaj, this is after Srila Sridhar Maharaj has left the world, but it is a very sacred place. And Gurudev didn't want him to go up there. So he told Trivikram Maharaj was with him, and Gurudev told Trivikram Maharaj, you go and stop him. So Trivikram Maharaj had to go out. And he's like this big sannyasi, thousands of disciples. Now, actually, his karma is coming to get him. He's having to, we won't go into that. He's being exposed for who he is. But anyway, we won't go into that. But he comes out and he's got a few followers with him. And he's like going to go up the stairs. And Trivikram Maharaj, he's big, tall, Brazilian. And he blocks his way. No, you're not getting past me. And the sannyasi is saying, oh, I want to go up. And Trivikram Maharaj says, you can't go up. And then the sannyasi says who? And Trivikram Maharaj says me. And I thought, oh, that is perfect. That is perfect disciple. You don't put your guru in the front. You take it on your head, right? Take it on. You be the bad guy, right? You be the bad guy. One thing I have to say, I appreciated very much. I remember this sometimes with Madhusudan Maharaj, who was Mahanand at the time. Because at one point I was like managing the rooms, the festival was coming. And believe you me, and I'm sure Chinmoy knows, it's very, very, it's a lot of headaches. And, you get complaints from certain devotees and different issues with the rooms and all kinds of stuff, and why am I in this room? And why am I not with my friends or whatever, right? All kinds of stuff would come up. And, you've got hundreds of people coming and it's a big deal, like making the plan for the rooms. But I remember one year Mahananda Prabhu told me, and it really touched my heart very deeply. He said, you make the plan and I'll support you. Like I'll back you, whatever your decision is, I will trust you. If anyone takes complaint, I'll take it. And it's on my responsibility. I'll back you. This is very honorable, a very, very nice example. It's true leadership. That's actually a quality of a leader, that they take responsibility for everything, because they're feeling that, oh, it's actually all going on under my watch, right? So it is all the right or the wrong of the people helping me. It's all mine, actually. It's all on me. That's real leadership quality. And the hallmark of a bad leader is they want to put the blame on other people, right? Oh, because of such and such, right? But anyway, this is a part of being a responsible, person of integrity in the world, right? That sometimes we will be criticized. Not everyone is going to understand. We're not crowd pleasers, right? And to some intimate friends, or someone who we want to really feel we want to be in their good books, we may explain to them if it is appropriate. But sometimes we just have to take it on our chin. And that is a test for our humility. And we always see that in the long run, we will be rewarded, actually. If we are acting with integrity, then we will be blessed in the way that matters. Right? But anyway, it's a nice point that you brought up. And we have another question. Is chanting the holy name exclusively the Maha Mantra? When did that beautiful mantra originate? We've got lots of questions coming up. I mean, the Maha Mantra, it is eternal. It is an eternal divine vibration. And it is also, what is the Maha Mantra? It is Radha and Krishna. It is a call to Radha and Krishna. And it is also, right, it is mentioned in the scriptures, Binatman Namanamino. The name and the named, they are non-different. So it is, our Gurudev had this wonderful phrase, transcendental sound vibration form of the Lord. Transcendental sound. So what is that Maha Mantra? It is the transcendental sound vibration form of Sri Sri Radha and Krishna. That is the Maha Mantra. So it is not a question of it originating, but it is eternal. It is eternally in existence. And we are blessed if it has been revealed within the plane of our perception to some level, right? On some level. And is chanting the whole, no, I mean, the Lord has many names. This Maha Mantra has some special dignity, right? It is particularly the supreme mantra for this age. It has some special dignity, special position, special potency, we hear. But there are many, many names of the Lord. So holy name can refer to many names of the Lord. And ultimately, everything comes down to our own mood of devotion, right? And, it's not based on a technicality, right? Oh, chanting Govinda, that's only going to get you 50%, of what Krishna will get you or whatever, right? What's really significant is the mood of devotion. And we have to try to enter into a living conception of what this all is, right? Think of someone in your life who has many names and nicknames, right? According to time, place, and circumstance, you may refer to them in different ways, right? So Govinda is referring to Krishna's sweet, gentle nature as the lover of cows, right? The Gopal, the caretaker of cows. That is a Gopinath, Krishna, the Lord of the Gopis. They're all representing different moods and aspects of the Lord, right? So, and when someone asked Srila Maharaj about the proper pronunciation of Rama, Hare Rama, then Srila Maharaj, he said, Mother Jashoda, if she calls Krishna's name a little wrong, he knows what she means. Just like if we're calling some friend or family member, maybe the slip of our tongue will say the name slightly wrong, but they know what we mean. They know we're calling them, right? So we don't want to see this in a technical, rigid type of way, right? Krishna's a person. But yes, this Maha Mantra, Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, has been especially recommended to us, and we're particularly chanting that. But we are chanting many names of the Lord. And in our kirtans that we sing, there are many names that are mentioned. And as our, and of course, this is a much higher stage, but as our devotional mood develops, one may feel more attraction, to some particular aspect, mood of the Lord. And there's another question here from Tungarasa. Can you comment on sincerity is invincible? Yes, very good points. And this is Srila Maharaj paraphrasing this Bhagavad Gita verse. Nahi kalyana krit dorgatim tatagachati. One who is sincere to do good, one who desires to do good, they will never be defeated. So Srila Maharaj renders that as sincerity is invincible. So it means that, we, with our lack of proper vision, understanding, with our layers of misconception, we may make many mistakes, right? Because of our mundane attachments, so many things, right? And we may make many mistakes. But if at our core we have this sincere desire to be on the right path, then that we'll we'll get there in the end. We'll get there in the end. Through some ups and downs and fallings over and bruisings of the knees, and we'll get there eventually. Right? Because in our heart, we have that sincere desire to do good. And and I feel maybe this is going off on a tangent, but I feel in the way that Srila Govinda Maharaj dealt with many of his disciples, it was like he was believing in our sincerity, that giving us space to make mistakes, and leaving room for that, actually, because it's part of the learning process. Because he's believing in our sincerity. Oh, they will work it out. It's, sometimes things will hit home to us more when we worked it out for ourselves, right? We practically come to understand the value of some particular teaching. And we've been discussing here these last few days, this point that, we're not dealing in a transaction of information. But our gurus are, they're also supporting us in developing the proper mood, angle of vision. It's not just about, information and theory and such, but, proper, gradual development of the mood, the heart, angle of vision. That is what is really important. Substantial, maybe slow, but substantial, real progress, soul progress, not brain progress or body progress, but real soul development, evolution. So that is our hope, right? That sometimes along the way we may feel bewildered and we're not clear on how to go forward. But then, we cannot just remain frozen and we cannot just go into paralysis, right? And not do anything. We have to keep going forward. So we can take some solace in that fact, right? That, I pray that I have some sincerity, and if I am sincere, then the true path will come open for me, will clear for me. And sometimes, I have the privilege of seeing that, with other devotees, I may be observing them and having some doubt, but not going to correct them too eagerly, and then seeing how they come to the revelation themselves. And it's very beautiful to see that, actually. That out of their own desire, the clear path is emerging and they're shifting. So we are also trying to proceed like that ourselves. We're trying to keep our Om Tad Vishnu Paramam Param Sra Pashanti Soraya Diviva Chakshura Tatam. Right? We're trying to keep ourselves exposed to that all-seeing eye of the Lord. Actually, this is one answer to that first question that Chinmoy Prabhu brought up. That Srila Sridhar Maharaj discusses this in Loving Search for the Lost Servant. That if we always live in this vision that the Lord, that we are being watched, we can't do anything wrong. Right? And this is a principal mantra in the Rig Veda. And it's describing how the great souls, they always see that the Lord is above their heads, like a great eye in the sky, seeing everything that is going on. And there's a tradition to chant that mantra at the beginning of like some new fire sacrifice or some new endeavor, something like that. And so Srila Sridhar says, if we're always living in that vision, that the Lord is seeing everything, we cannot do anything wrong. We cannot do anything wrong. We will be forced to question ourselves more, to earnestly look within. Am I acting according to my best sincerity? One of the things that was really quite phenomenal living around Srila Govinda Maharaj, it was like we felt like we were having a daily live reading of how we're doing in spiritual life. Like just the way he'd look at you, and you just know I'm in trouble, or oh, I'm okay, I'm on track. That was how I felt. And then if he gives you a dismissive look, then for days you're thrown into this like deep soul searching. Where am I going wrong? To rethink everything. It was quite intense. It was quite intense. So I still think of that. When if certain things come up, I look at Gurudev. But what would his expression be? What would his expression be? And sometimes I remember that pastime with the cowherd boys, and they come across the gaping mouth of Aghasura. Because it's so big, they're not quite sure what it is. It's a giant demon serpent demon. But it's so big, they don't quite know what it is. And they're kind of poking around, and there's like this foul smell and fumes coming, and these giant, fangs, and then there's like this black, hole. And they're all, but they're treating it kind of like a playground, and they're like, oh, what's this? And then it looks a little, iffy, but why don't we just check it out? And then what they say, this is the conclusion they come to. If it turns out, it's something bad, Krishna will come and take care of us. Krishna will, if it turns out we're in trouble, and it was a bad idea, Krishna's there. He'll come and rescue us. So they have this type of confidence. Rakshishatiti Vishvaso. This is one of the limbs of surrender. Confidence in the Lord's protection. And I also think of that sometimes, that I may make some decision sometimes, and I don't know if it's the right decision or not, but I feel some confidence. Gurudev will correct me. Gurudev will slap me. If it was the wrong decision, he'll find some way of making it known to me that it was the wrong decision, right? So maybe I'll have to suffer a little bit that I made the wrong decision. And this is another thing too, that like spiritual truth will be revealed to us in layers, right? Like think of it like a school, right? Grade 1, grade 2, it's given in stages, right? The level of knowledge is being given in stages. You can't, if you're in the kindergarten level, you can't immediately be given the PhD level, right? It doesn't work like that. And that's something I've learned, because sometimes I'll feel frustrated. Oh, I just want to know now, what's the highest vision or highest way of dealing with this? And then you realize that I wasn't ready for that. I had to go through so many different stages of evolution before I could understand this point, right? Or before I could act in this particular way, right? I had to go through different stages of development. So that's another point, right? We have to accept that, we're not able to do the perfect thing right now, because we're going through stages of development right now. Different stages of truth, understanding. So one may also have that feeling, connection with Guru and Vaishnava. Oh, they will correct me. The Lord will correct me if I've made the wrong decision. If I'm moving in the wrong way. They will find some way to interfere with my plans. Confidence, yes. Confidence in the Lord's protection. I'm just looking at this comment from Angel. Gurakshisha Titi Vishwaso. This is one of the 6 limbs of Sharanagati, surrender. Anukulyasya Sankalpa, to accept what is favorable. Pratikulya Vivarjana, to reject what is unfavorable. Rakshisha Titi Vishwaso, confidence in the Lord's protection. Goptritre Vadanam, embracing the Lord's guardianship. Then Doinya, humility. And Atma Nivedan, full self-giving, self-surrender. These are the 6 limbs of Sharanagati. And we have a nice comment here from Marie. It is much easier to believe in one's own sincerity if someone we admire believes we are sincere. Yes, that is also very true. And this was part of the power of Srila Govinda Maharaj, that he believed in us. That was something I experienced quite profoundly in some situations where I realized, like, he's the only one who believes in me right now. You know? And by that belief, we're able to become something, right? Because he believed in me, believed in my capacity. Even if no one else could see it, he could see it. He could see that. So that was one of that's one of the great powers that our Guru Dev had. And this is also a divine quality, to believe, to have faith, to have belief in other higher level exchanges. They're all based on that, right? It is a very low, sad plane where we're doubting. That is a very low plane to live in. Suspicion, doubt, right? But in a higher plane, it is just assumed. Everyone is honest. Why would there be any need to cheat, to deceive? There's no room, no conception of deception there. So it is the divine nature to believe in others. And our Guru Dev, he showed such a wonderful example of that. And that belief, gave us all room to grow. Our Guru Dev also mentioned, sometimes I'm getting a bad result from that, but mostly I'm getting a very good result, right? There's also some risk in this world, to put belief in others, because we're living in a world of, deception and treachery and exploitation and so on. But our Gurudev said, but mostly I'm getting a good result, right? And here's another thing. By believing in others, we also gain from that. We gain from that. We're not losing anything to believe in others, right? We will gain by that spirit of encouragement, belief. I've noticed it's kind of like a trend in modern society to kind of like just cut each other down, and usually in a joking way, but sometimes it makes me feel sad, to see. Why do we need to cut each other down? Let's believe that everyone is much more than what they are. They have the potential to be so. And then in that way, we are encouraging and inspiring others to go beyond their own limits, push their own limits. Right. Well, it's been a very nice interactive meeting. Great to have everyone's input. And we had a few others coming in. I see Lynn is with us, Breja Bala is with us, Tungarasa, Rukmini, Dana, Ramananda Prabhu. Welcome everyone.
Vishakha Devi. Sorry, John, late. I was stuck.
Glad you could make it. Well, Chinmoy Prabhu, do you want to add any final words to our group today?
No, but I think you gave a very nice commentary about sincerity. I really do appreciate what you had to say about it.
Thank you for. Well, thank you all for your good association. And we have our friends here too. We have Somya Sham Vijay Nanda visiting from Ireland, and Ananda Krishna Prabhu is here too. And tomorrow Suvasini Didi is going to be arriving. All right. Well, Happy New Year. We can also mention, right? It's a good time to think of our New Year's resolutions.
Happy New Year, Vishakha Devi. Yeah, Happy New Year,
Thank
everybody.
you. Fresh start, fresh start. Fresh start, new beginning, reset, New Year's reset with our devotional aspirations. Jai Shri Bhakti Sundar Govinda Dev Goswami Maharaj ki Jai, Shri Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Dev Goswami Maharaj ki Jai. All the assembled devotees, sincere seekers ki Jai, Jai Chinmoy Dev Guru ki Jai. Jai Gaur Premanande. Hari
Hari
Bol.
Bol.
Jai Vishakha Devi Dasi ki. Jai.
See you all next time.
Jai.
Thank you very much for today.
Jai. Thank you everybody for joining.
Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna.
Thank
See
you
you
for
very
joining.
soon.